Hello, hello, hello. I'm your host Muhammad Abu Bakr. In this channel, we'll be talking about the frameworks, methods, and tools to conquer your mental blocks in the process of building products customers love. In today's session, we'll be talking about how to build a product from scratch. If you look at the world around you, there are only three types of products. The first one is the inventive product. There is nothing and you start building, creating something. Like the first aeroplane, the first CD driver, the first television. These are all inventive products. The second type of products are what we call the inspired products. We already have something, but they don't work as good as they should be. Or the customer expectations have changed and evolved and they are looking for more. The inspired products are ones that take cue from whatever is already available and improve them a notch better, multiple notches better. The third type of product is what we call the imitative product. The imitative products are pure copycats, just that the founders of those products are able to execute it faster, cheaper, better, and are able to provide you an affordable alternative. Irrespective of what type of product you are trying to build, building a product from the scratch is a daunting journey. Truth be said, there are many people who take many different ways to get their from the scratch product built, distributed, and value created in terms of building these products. Some take a very research driven approach. Some take a very intuition, vision driven approach. Some blend the approaches. Either way, there is a cocktail happening in the process of building a product from scratch. It all depends upon where you start from. If you are a designer, you start with a very design centric perspective. If you are an engineer, you start with a very engineering centric perspective. If you are a business person, you start with the worries and concerns of the business. It's easier. The worries and concerns of the business. It's easier. And the best people are the ones who can start from their perspective, but they can also adopt the other perspectives. Not only within the organization, but also outside the organization, coming from customers, coming from community, coming from fans, coming from people who are using the product. Integrating all these inputs in order to build or form a coherent version of their product. It's easier said than done because we are all trained to believe to build a great product, we need resources. We need manpower, we need money, we need distribution, partners, alliances. We are all trained to believe these are the measures that can help us make tangible progress. However, if you ask founders who have failed, founders who were not able to execute successfully in spite of having the vision, in spite of having the manpower, in spite of having the backing of venture capitalists, you will get a completely different story. Okay, let us take the case of Sunita Mohanty, who is a Facebook product lead for new initiatives or new experimentation. From her experience, she states right out of Stanford, she started a K-12 analytics company. And the product or the vision or the disruptive vision was to fix the broken educational system. With that vision, they started this analytics company. But what she realized going through the process of building one was that they were going around in circles of decision making. That is, going from 0 to 1 is easy in concept, but practically the challenges have got more than to do with the resources. The intangibles matter a lot. They have a disproportionate impact on how you move the needle with respect to your product progression to achieve product market fit. Or take the case of Rahul Arora, who is the CEO of Superhuman. How he started with Superhuman. Rahul is known for building and selling a product called Rappative to LinkedIn. Rappative started as an email plugin, the first of its kind that helped people receiving the emails to know more about the social profile of the individual. That product evolved and sold to LinkedIn with millions of users. While creating that product and also running email related activities at LinkedIn, Rahul realized how bad is email, how inefficient it has become with more and more plugins, and how slow it has become. And he felt a deep need to improve the email experience. In his own words, he wanted to build the super fast email experience for his users. So, as soon as he got the idea, did he go and start building the prototype? Did he start putting out the minimum viable product? No. Rahul spent a lot of time creating a pipeline of audience who will be interested to engage with him and share their problems or their experiences with email. He created that audience list. He engaged with them, trying to find out what is their current environment looks like. What are the things that they like about their current email experience? What are the things that they don't like about the email experience? You will not believe if I say that after going through this initial process of engaging, he had 1,000 customer interviews over a period of 1 year. All to understand about or all to validate if the hunch he is having about the bad email experience is a monetizable problem, is that a real world problem, are there people who are willing to engage, willing to adopt a product that will give them the super fast email experience. What both these stories of Sunita Mohanty and Rahul Arora reveal is the need to do thoughtful upfront work. I am not against the idea of experimenting, like the lean concept, creating a hypothesis, creating a landing page, testing with the customer. You can definitely do. There is a place and time for that kind of experimentation. But when we are starting from the scratch, without having a clarity, with only our vision or intuition or insight as a basis, then it's very hard for us to even decide what are the ones to go for experimentation. Because we have finite resources. Within those finite resources, we have to find out a way to achieve or acquire more customers who can pay us and put us on a flywheel towards a product that can be adopted by more people. So there is a place and time for experimentation, but the most important thing when you start from the scratch 0 to 1 is all about putting that upfront work to achieve the clarity. What happens if you don't achieve that clarity? If we are not able to achieve the clarity, we might go little forward, but then we will be stuck with what I call the execution debt. We would have made a chain of decisions. We would have made execution based on those decisions, and when growth falters, when there is no more opportunity, when the features are not getting used, we get into this gut as to how to overcome from that. And the most important thing that will happen then and there will be the need to overcome that execution debt and then build on top of it. Godspeed that we don't run out of resources before that. But however, that is a practical challenge a lot of founders face. That's why the most experienced and the most thoughtful founders do the upfront work in understanding the real world customer problems of their target audiences. Once they understand the real world problems of their target audiences, then they go the next step in trying to experiment, validate it with the customer, and so many other activities. Typically, when it comes to customer insights, it comes from two different dimensions. One is very vision, instinct, insight driven approach, or even assumption driven approach to understanding customer problems. Another way to look at customer problems is coming from an inbound customer request, or asking the customer, or observing the customer. All of these methods help us get to a comprehensive idea of the customer problems. A lot of times people give a lot of significance to one method over the other. Unfortunately, all of these methods need to be applied in order to understand the real world customer problems. Without that kind of an insight, it is very, very difficult to nudge our teams to make the progress that will deliver stakeholder results. It might look like a lot of work upfront to apply all the methods. Yes, it is. If we apply all the methods very early on without giving them incremental space, it's very hard for us to understand the customer. It is very hard for us to make the nudge forward. So, truth be told, that product building from the scratch is an intensive and immersive work. We have to incrementally test assumptions and gain deep empathy for the customer over a period of time. To begin with, we can begin from a vision-driven perspective, or a request-driven perspective, or even an assumption-driven perspective. Whatever perspective we start, the end goal is to comprehensively understand the customer in order to solve his real-world problems better. If we just keep scratching the surface, we will get nowhere. We might get initial traction, but then the growth will taper off. We might even miss the opportunity bus. Once we have a research-driven start, having understood well the context of the customer and making the effort to incrementally better understand it, we might end up doing much better. Typically, there are 5 different ways of innovation. The first and foremost is technology-driven innovation. The second is business-driven innovation. The third is outcome-driven innovation. The fourth is data-driven innovation. The fifth is context-driven innovation. The most important type of innovation is context-driven. Why? Context-driven innovation helps us keep rooted with the customer, with the evolving technology, with the evolving data, with the evolving outcome expectations, with the evolving business expectations. With everything changing, the context will keep us rooted with respect to the customer. And for that to happen, we have to gain the deep empathy for the customer and his situations. In order to do that, you will have to apply the various methods that will help us get to that empathy incrementally. Without doing this upfront work, it is very, very difficult to build a product that achieves product market fit. Even if it achieves, it is very difficult to capture the growth curve.